Lauren here. So today I want to have a look at Bakasana B. So Bakasana B is the more challenging version of Bakasana. Well, it's more challenging for most people because we actually jump directly into Bakasana from a downward facing dog. So this asana comes about a third of the way through the Ashtanga second series. And as well as it being an arm balance, it's actually a forward bend. So if we think about our chest moving closer to our legs, so it comes as a nice release after some intense back bending. So what do we need to perfect our Bakasana B? So we can think about a few things. First of all, as with most asanas, we want to think about our foundation. And in this case, our foundation is our hands. We're going to be balancing on our hands. So we need to have strong wrists, strong hands and arms. And the way that we really achieve that is kind of through a regular practice of earlier asanas and the primary series, because we're kind of getting used to having our weight on our hands. So that's the first part of the foundation. The second part of our foundation that we need to think about is creating strength through our shoulder girdle, because that's what's going to be supporting us as well. And the way we do that is through activation of a muscle called serratus anterior. We're going to look at that a little bit more in a moment, but to begin with, just so that you know, serratus anterior is a muscle that kind of sits about here, and its main function is that it holds your scapula, your shoulder blade, in place on your rib cage while you move your shoulder. Okay, so strong foundation. Then we need to have a strong drishti. So it's really important when we're trying to do any balances that we're able to keep our eyes really still so that we can maintain our focus. We need to kind of be able to hold our center of gravity in space, and that comes with a bit of practice. And finally, we just need a little bit of bravery, because jumping forward without our hands to stop us can seem a little bit scary. So sometimes that takes a bit of practice as well. So the first thing that we need to perfect our Bakasana B is really to have a nice, strong Bakasana A. So we're going to have a little look at that now. Okay. So setting myself up, creating a nice, strong foundation by spreading the fingers, and then activating serratus anterior by pressing my hands down into the mat. So as I press my hands down into the mat, my chest and my ribcage, my torso lifts further away from my hands, okay? And then the other thing is to think about the drishti. So I'm going to take my gaze slightly ahead of my mat to keep my concentration, and then lift up into Bakasana. So you can observe here as I press my hands down, my chest lifts. And the other thing that you might notice is that my shoulders are slightly further forward than my hands. Okay, so we're gonna jump back, and then from downward dog, I'm gonna step forward, and I just wanna think about another place where we can maybe practice that action. Okay, so the action of the chest leaning slightly forward from the hands. So, something that we do at the beginning of our practice. So Surya Namaskar. So inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. And then inhale, lift the chest. So your fingertips might come off the floor when you lift your chest. That's completely fine. But then if you press your hands down into the floor, come up onto your tiptoes again, shoulders are leaning slightly forward, pressing into your hands, inhale, lift up, exhale, come down. Okay, so that action there is activating serratus anterior. We're trying to get that center of balance where my shoulders are coming slightly forward. And if you can even think about pausing for a moment there. So let's try that, let's look at that again. So leaning the shoulders forward, pressing into the hands, inhale, lift up, and exhale, lower down. So that is the action that you need for Bakasana B. Okay, so once you've got a nice strong Bakasana A, then you're ready to have a go at Bakasana B. And to begin with, I suggest maybe grabbing some padding, a cushion or something to put in front of you, just to kind of take away a bit of that fear of landing on your face, okay? And then we're going to set ourselves up. So rather than starting all the way back, to begin with it might be helpful to kind of step your feet a little bit further forward so you don't have so far to jump. Again, we're going to spread our fingers. Think about pressing the hands down into the mat. And to begin with, it also might be quite helpful to kind of bend your arms a little bit so that you've got more of a shelf to land on. Setting the drishti, so I'm going to look forward and really concentrate, press down into my hands, and I'm going to aim as high as I can on my arms. So aiming for my armpits, jumping forward. Okay? And to begin with, you might find that you jump forward and your feet come down. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. It's just something to try and work on. So as soon as you jump forward, you really want to try and think about maintaining that downward pressure into your hands. So let's have a go at that now. So pressing into the hands, looking forward, inhaling, jump, and then press down through the hands. Again, so just lifting your torso back up towards your arms again, okay? And as you get more confident, you might begin to start to walk your feet back. So what happens sometimes when people start learning this asana is they'll do something like this, jump forward, land on the feet, and then come onto your arms. So you want to try and avoid that. Even if you touch your upper arm and then fall down, at least you're getting somewhere, okay? So let's just go through that again. So we're spreading the fingers, pressing down into the hands. Again, you can keep your elbows bent to begin with. Shift your weight back, aim for your armpits. Strong drishti, inhale, jump, and then press into the hands so that you can create that extra lift and activation of serratus anterior. Okay, so that is Bakasana B. Just remember, as always, 3 is the magic number, so give it a try, maybe once, maybe 2 or 3 times each practice. Don't overdo it, be careful of your wrists, be brave and have fun.